Welcome to If I Did It, a show where we analyze and solve PR kerfuffles from the MMA world and beyond. I'm your host, as always, Alexi Old, and joining us is Kid Nate from Bloody Elbow and Eugene Robinson of Aussie.com and author of Fight Everything You Ever Want to Know About Ass Kicking, but we're afraid you get your ass kicked for asking.
Ah, that's right, baby. That was way too controlled of an intro for me. I gotta bring the chaos element.
Hey, look, if it's supposed to be the balance of personalities, perspectives, opinions, shouting versus quiet storming. Speaking of shouting versus quiet storming.
And then you get Nate Diaz. Fuck you. You're
Exactly.
trying to be all clever talking about balloon animals, and the guy's like, fuck you, blow me. What?
Well,
What
here's
kind of smack talk is that? You asshole, blow me. You know. LCD, baby, LCD.
Well, speaking
Lowest
about all
common
this-
denominator.
In terms of this, let's go with some other letters, Eugene. UFC.
LSD. I'm sorry.
You're the UFC. The UFC on LSD. You're the UFC without the LSD. Holly Holmes' demand to stay busy and RDA's broken foot derailed your matchmaking, monetization, maximization at UFC 196. Would have been better to have canceled instead of caving in and deviating from your master marketing plans?
Who you asking?
I'm asking you, Eugene.
No fucking way. Look, some guy is all breathless and trembling, and the commenters are knuckle up. You don't know what you're talking about. How could this be part of the bald one's plan? This is fucked up his plans. MMA is fucked up for 2016. What do you think? That people play chess one move at a time? You know, they move the rook, and they're like, and the other guy moves, and you're like, oh shit, I didn't count on that. What do you mean you didn't count on that? It's chess. I move, you move. I move, you move. Yeah, no. So I mean, this is good for everybody. I make that claim. Some of you are coming around to see it my way. It's good for everybody. Conor McGregor, what he bought was vulnerability. It was nice. I don't know if you've seen that section of video going when Nate walks into the press conference and Conor's all shifty and itchy, like while looking behind him, and he's sitting in front of his little belt and talking about his plans. It's got all the joys of Lost Battalion without him being Lost Battalionized. The excuse making, the mitigation, the attempts to explain away. It's great to see this Conor McGregor. And if you don't think he single-handedly revived any interest in fucking RDA, you're crazy, because it's delicious. Watching him squirm is delicious, and we'd pay to see it happen again. And if he goes by RDA, then he's fucking gold. I mean, the idea is to keep a churn. Like in the financial markets, you got to keep the churn going, and this keeps the churn going. Had he beaten Nate, there would have been, well, Nate wasn't ready. He's 11 days off the couch. Doesn't really count. He's not the top flight. It'll be a different story with Lawler. Whatever. It wouldn't have been the same sort of excitement now. And Holly, all of us saw her. If you ever saw her losing, you saw her losing exactly that way. And they counted on that. It's the only way you're going to get fucking Miesha Tate love. Susan Lucci wins was the first thing I tweeted afterwards. Yeah. And it's true. Great. You know, so the only drag of it is that the bald one steps in there and says, her next fight is against Ronda. Nobody needs to see that series right away. I'd say give Holly a fucking rematch, but then if you give Holly a rematch and she loses again, she's shit. So really, the best thing has to happen. It's Ronda. Ronda maybe takes it back, goes against Holly, great. Ronda loses again, she's done, and then Tate goes against Holly, great. I mean, the scenario for the future is good in every instance. It's a great secondary chess move.
What about you, Nate?
Well, I was just reading last night about Lenin in prison camp in Siberia getting obsessed with chess, which he later disavowed as a waste of time, but at one point his wife said he would wake up screaming, if he moves his knight, I will move my rook and crush him! So...
He will feel the height.
So chess is a dangerous game, and the thing is, yeah, the pieces are always moving, but I don't think Dana White was that happy. He said he wasn't happy. He said he wished that Holly Holm would have waited for Ronda Rousey, that they didn't need this. They didn't need that Holly Holm Miesha Tate thing to add anything to the card. Conor could have carried it all by himself, just fine. The Holm upset, I don't think, added any big deal to the web traffic we saw. All they did was lose Holly Holm as a potential breakout superstar. They know Miesha Tate is not going to be a breakout star. We've seen her lose to Ronda Rousey twice. She has, almost 2 million Facebook followers, but she's had that for a long time, and she's stalled out. She's not somebody that's going to be compelling on daytime talk shows. She's not going to be on The View. She's not going to be on Oprah.
Nope.
Whereas Holly Holm, I think, carried herself pretty well on those shows. But now she's lost. Now she's damaged goods, and the world all revolves around Ronda. Maybe that's what the Baldwin wants. Maybe that's what's best for the UFC. But I don't know. It hurts.
That's the only thing that rescued Ronda from the suicide and the baby chatter.
Yes, and we needed to. Although, did you see Cyborg yesterday came out and bashed Ronda's weak-mindedness about the suicide thing? Apparently, nobody told her that Ronda's dad committed suicide. So Cyborg gets the worst PR advice possible and walks into these pitfalls.
At this point, no. I disagree. I think that at this point, given the Betch Correa thing, everybody knows about the father's suicide. This is a way to get yourself back into the conversation because you've largely been forgotten. When Holm beat Ronda, the first thing I thought was, fuck, Cyborg. My heart went out to her because it's like, there she was, Major Tom. Yep. It's like, hey, I'm up here, you guys. Hey, we just found somebody who speaks English and who doesn't have the drug thing hanging over them, who did what you said you were going to do. We don't need you. So she's got to try to talk her way back in the conversation. What better way to do it? I would have pulled that card in a fucking second, And I mean, and why not? You know why? Because Ronda herself I didn't start talking about it. You started talking about it. Not me, you,
So yeah, it does get. I guess you're right. It gets Cyborg back in the conversation, even though she looks like a complete jackass, which is not an uncomfortable look for her. It's something she's used to.
You gotta out jackass Ronda because Ronda at this point now is heelized. So you gotta move to her left or her right, as the case may be.
Total heel. But back to McGregor. I think this hurts McGregor, but I think that's good for the UFC because I think Conor was at a point where he had the UFC by the balls and he was squeezing the whole. Yep. Jumping up divisions, talking about jumping up 2 divisions, leaving the featherweight division way behind in the dust, demanding more money. Supposedly he's been talking to Floyd Mayweather and other people about long-term plans. This cuts Conor back down to size, gives them leverage. They can force him to do the fights they want him to do, to fight Frankie Edgar or rematch Aldo. What, are you mocking me? Look at my lighting. I've got professional lighting and I'm being mocked.
I see that. But you're fucking wrong, man. Again, nobody plays chess, only one move and is surprised when there's another move.
That is not true. I play chess
I can see, based on his response, that Conor really did expect to win.
Yeah, Conor thought he was going to win.
He expected to win, but there's always a possibility. And if you're gonna say he didn't think about that possibility, I'm gonna say he's crazy. You gotta think about that possibility.
Let's since you're going in this direction, Eugene, because originally we were talking about if you're the UFC, and let me throw it to Nate. Let's switch the perspective. Okay, instead of being the UFC, Nate, you're Conor McGregor. After building a brand of braggadocio, you responded to your Diaz deflation by belling up to the table and masticating on humble pie in the post-fight presser. Tell us, Mystic Mac, what is your plan to restore Red Panty Night from the dirty drawers of defeat?
Well, I think McGregor's key thing right now, they've given him a simple one A-B choice. He can either fight Jose Aldo or Frankie Edgar, probably at UFC 200, which is a great card to be on. A great place to be, headlining the biggest card in years. But now I think he's got a very interesting choice. It gets him away from Frankie Edgar, which is a guy he doesn't want to fight. Frankie Edgar's a bad stylistic matchup for him that nobody likes. Like some of my fellow editors in the MMA website business call it Frankie Edgar click death. When you feature Frankie Edgar too much, the traffic just... So there's no money in the Frankie Edgar business, and he's tough as hell. And he's stylistically a nightmare for Conor McGregor. He can take a beating and come back. He can get takedowns. He's got good boxing. He's got good jiu-jitsu. He's perfectly happy to lay and pray a guy for 5 rounds. Just ask Cub Swanson. Conor, this actually is a Christmas present for Conor. Now he can say, I want to give Jose Aldo a rematch. He can say, this guy was a great champion. He deserves a rematch. Let's have the rematch. And then just quietly under his breath, and fuck you, Frankie Edgar. Like, that's what you do if you're Conor McGregor. You fight Jose Aldo at UFC 200. You redeem yourself. Then you can start talking about RDA right away.
Yeah.
Like, just
but if you think if you think the bald one is gonna get away with paying him a nickel less, you're crazy. He's not going for that.
Paying Conor a nickel less.
He's gonna have to lose again before they start talking about less nickels. You know.
We'll have to see how he does as a draw in his next fight.
I mean, the interesting thing to me is, in regards to Les Nichols, if now that they give $500,000 to Nate, pour $500,000 into 209, how they're going to try to his next fight justify going back to 2020? That's going to be some business legerdemain. I'd love to be there for that conversation where the bald was like, okay, see, look, this is what we're going to do. Right, where he just tries to talk. I mean, it's gonna be business magic. Him like,
and he's gonna say, "I got the glow. I beat Shonuff."
And he's like, "Yeah, you're not moving."
Boy, I got the glow.
Kogan is going. I don't know if you follow Kogan. Kogan is going nuts these past few days. He's been on the bald one about he doesn't move the needle. I guess he doesn't move the needle. That's why you came to. I mean, it's like he's.
So what should Conor do? Eugene, if you're Conor, what do you do in terms of the plan?
I give myself a week. I move in a fucking top flight jiu-jitsu guy to SBG, and then I lace into Jose Aldo like a man, like with a hellish vigor. I'm talking about his mother, his kid, that maybe he's got Zika. I go nuts. That's what I do. That's what I'm G now. That's what I do. I dismiss out of hand 209 as a fucking fluke. I call out Nick Diaz. I call out Jake. I go nuclear. That's what
I can smell. You know what? When you said it, it's so funny because you're going from a point in which the humbled, Conor McGregor, and then once you started, right? Yep. And then you mentioned Zika. I was like, oh my god! Like you talk about like being a villain to an entire nation.
Yep.
And banning other nations too. Like that's totally. It's like, oh, you done forgot who you're dealing with.
Yeah, you got. I mean, look. What, you don't think the Irish are used to losing? Nah, right. They're used to fight from the bottom position, man. This is not. I'm not thinking. You learn a lot about a fighter when you learn how they deal with loss, but it's different with an Irish fighter. You're talking about a national. It's like a Polish fighter. It's like a national obsession. This thing is like. The national logo for Ireland should be, you think you're better than me? Just put that right on the flag. What, you think you're better than me? Because that's it. Nah, I'm not seeing a cow. He's, the shock of getting fucking choked out. I mean, and if I'm on that dais with him, I mean, Nate probably saw the film later and thought that I'm talking smack to him the whole walk over to my seat. Oh, there he is. After me, Lucky Charms. How you doing? And I'm bumping the back of his head. I'm tormenting him. The fight continues because unless we retire, we're still all in the fight game.
Right.
The only person who should be taking their seat without that kind of smack is like fat guys, heavyweights. That's not my division. I'm way away from. I guess he's dropped that Verdum pussy stuff too, right?
Well, someone who's away from it too, that we were talking about briefly, Eugene. You're Holly Holm. Instead of following the UFC's plan to wait for a Ronda rematch, you campaigned for a match with Misha and lost. Mm-hmm. Dana White put you on blast before your match by telling Jim Rome, quote, I'll tell you this, to be brutally honest with you, as a fan, I love her attitude, and I love that. As a business side, I absolutely hate it, end quote. Now that you, Holly, have no market leverage, what PR moves can you make to prevent your inevitable placement in purgatory?
No. It's the same thing. It's just a different type of doubling down. She's fighting like the old style UFC fighters. You look at Chuck Liddell's record. Look at Randy Couture's record. I'll take whoever anybody wants to stand up. I'm glad to knock them down. At this point now, she should, she should. I mean, to stay in the conversation. What? Kat Zingano's finished. I mean, you got no. At this point now, you're like a Russian soldier. I got the Nazis in front of me. I got my commanders who have had orders to shoot retreating soldiers. What the fuck do I do? Fuck it. I'm going forward. I'll take a chance with the Nazis. So I mean, she's not. Or alternatively, similar plan to Conor McGregor. I don't know what they're doing at Jackson Winklejohn. but you got to get some serious, I mean, we knew she was going to lose that weight if she lost. It's time. It's time. Spend about 8 months solid jiu-jitsu 5 times a week like I'm doing. At that point, and I got into an argument with a guy here just minutes before the show started. He was like, you wouldn't turtle up. I go, I would turtle up. I could turtle up for 30 seconds. He goes, that's the wrong move. The right move is to try to get out. I go, bullshit. I could ride 30 seconds out. He goes, here he is. Here's the guy who said, no, turtling up puts you in a terrible position. She was right to try to stand up. I said, well, we can't argue the negative. I say that if she turtles up, she rides it out. She doesn't lose that round and wins the fight. He says if she turtles up, yeah, she gets submitted just the same. I disagree.
So what do you think, Nate, in terms of if you're Holly Holm dealing with this bad relationship with your boss?
Well,
it's not bad. It's just what it is.
No, I mean, but look, I mean, you have a situation where she got into the UFC. They wanted her in the UFC a while back. Negotiations did not go well. She eventually got into the UFC with negotiations that the UFC apparently didn't care for. And then now before this, I mean, my point is, from a business perspective, it doesn't seem as if Dana White, reflecting the UFC opinion, doesn't care to be in business with this person who is not going to be... Look, it's one thing to be a pain in the neck and not a company person if you're making the money and if all these things are happening, but at the end of the day, if you're going to be a pain in the neck and you're not going to be a Conor McGregor or somebody that's bringing in all these extra elements to it, why should they even deal with you other than like, okay, let's put her on, like, do what they did with Miesha Tate, for instance. Like, yeah, fight this person, fight that person, fight this person, fight that person. Don't threaten any of our cash cows.
I don't know. Pain in the neck is kind of strong, man. I think that they were pretty mild,
Those negotiations were ugly, especially when she first before she entered the UFC. She was asking probably for not very much money, but the UFC, they stingy, and they don't like sharing. And when you come in with managers and pieces of paper with math on it, they see troublemaker. It's like showing up.
But that's business, man. They gotta get used to it. That's how Conor got him. You don't put him over the barrel.
These guys do business in a very personal manner.
Yeah,
and
that's
some
the
people,
wrong way to do it.
You're either Matt Hughes, Chuck Liddell, Ronda Rousey, or you are not. Like GSP, look how they shit on GSP and just wipe their asses with them.
Yeah.
Holly Holm knows what kind of treatment is coming down her way, and she might actually, this might open up some options for her. Bellator's out there, like she.
No. We're talking crazy. She's got Johnny Boney Joni cover. That fucking Jackson Winklejohn products are not going anywhere anytime soon.
It's true. But she just needs to keep her head down, train her jiu-jitsu, train her wrestling. Get ready for Ronda in a rematch. Get ready for Miesha Tate in a rematch. Just be ready for what they throw at her. This is not the time to be cute. This is not the time to cause trouble.
Just now she can take the time now that she should have taken before, is what you're saying.
She probably was doing the time. It takes a long time to learn, top-notch jiu-jitsu.
Really?
Yeah, it does. Long time.
Not if you use EJJ.
EJJ, man. I'm straight jacking dudes in the face. That's the way you do it.
And I will teach you.
How long did it take you to get that purple belt, Eugene?
I got a text here. Guy says, I compare Frankie Edgar to Mussolini. Mention, and he's advising me to mention the evolutionary inferior nature of Italians. He goes, go away, try to expand your fan bases.
Man.
It came in. I didn't say it.
I say you just repeated it. Just repeat
complexes, not the actual inferior nature. I'm sure he'll correct me if I'm wrong before the show is over, but I'm not gonna. I love Italy.
Well, one person who was loved, Maria Sharapova. Nate, you're Maria Sharapova. A 2016 Australian Open drug test busted you for doping with a recently banned substance called meldonium.
I'm Donald Trump and you're...
It was my Popeye impression, like how Popeye would... which, according to the New York Times, aids oxygen uptake and endurance, and is not approved for sale in the U.S. Nike responded by suspending their $70 million relationship with you while the investigation is ongoing, along with Tag Heuer and Porsche. Cool. As you have only played in 3 tournaments for the past 8 months, Maria, and are facing a multiple-year tennis ban, what PR moves do you make to salvage your savage sponsorships and other marketing opportunities?
Well, this is a $100 million mistake. She lost a $70 million Nike deal and $30 million in other endorsements. She might be suspended for as long as 2 years. Might be, maybe, if her lawyer can do the best job possible, she'll get that suspension down to 1 year. But this is, at this point, the horse is out of the barn. Like, you know, I can tell her to go close the gate, but she done fucked up bad. It was kind of interesting that she came out and had a press conference herself. Usually that's the kind of thing that's announced by the organization or a spokesperson, but she just went out there and owned it, apologized, took responsibility, although she had some bullshit story about how I had symptoms of diabetes and my doctor prescribed a magnesium deficiency, none of which Moldanium treats. So, you know, she might as well have gotten the quack from Texas that Alistair Overeem had, you know, with the giant syringe that said anti-inflammatory on it as a prop, because that was just ridiculous. You can take a girl out of Latvia, you can't take the Latvia out of the girl. It's, I don't know what she's doing with these janky Soviet-era prescription drugs. Apparently she's using them to enhance her endurance and her rehab from injuries and training time. So I don't know, you know. And the other story was that the WADA sent out an email with
what? Janky? Shit, I feel fine.
My hair's tingling.
This message is brought to you by the kind fellows at...
I'm only taking pills where I can't read the box.
That's the kind of pill you take. Sound medical advice. That is sound medical advice. Yeah, she's screwed up, man. And I don't know that there's anything she can do except lawyer up, ride it out. She's taken the hit. The worst is over. I think at this point she sticks to her ridiculous nonsense story as long as she can. She tries to find that quack doctor, that allegedly quack doctor that gave her the bad advice, get him talking, and, you know, write it out. The other thing she said was that WADA sent out an email with an attachment with the new banned substances, and she forgot to click. It's like $100 million, you can't hire somebody to check these things? Like, she's just out there freelancing, taking pills on her own. Like her trainer's not checking what she's taking. I mean,
DIY. That's probably what it is. Do it yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? This is why Kid Nate is where he is, and why I am where I am. I mean, this is mediocre PR advice at best. I got 2 words for you. Okay, 2 words: celebrity porn. Why am I the only one who sees that? How can I be the only one who sees that?
She doesn't need celebrity porn. What's she gonna make? $1,500 a scene? 8,000?
Exactly.
Like, there's no money in
zero. It's crisis mode now. Crisis mode.
See, that's where it's so funny, because you talk about EJJ. This is the Eugene PR school, right? Like, never leave a penny on the table.
The only celebrity porn.
There's shekels to be made. Rupees to be made. My God, there's a rupee explosion waiting for you, Maria.
If she did a 4-way with Justin Bieber, Kardashian, and Kanye West, that would be worth doing. And she'd have to get the money in front.
Danny Bonaducci celebrity boxing match with Sharapova, whatever her name is. You know. Look. How long was her career? How old is she?
I don't know. How old is she?
She's 30.
She was on the expiration date.
I mean, this is, you know, I don't see Billie Jean King playing.
28.
Oh, okay. Never
28 years old.
So she lost a good. You got 2 years. That's 2 years. I mean, I don't know anybody who's really playing beyond 37. I'm sure they do, but it's not like they're getting any sort of interest. But her claim to fame was less about what was happening on the court anyway, right? Wasn't she like the hot chick that people are like, man, she never fucking plays. How come she's making all this money? Didn't Venus and Serena say, you know, it's kind of funny that she's making so much money and she's really not that great of a tennis player. Come on. I think
she's better than some of the other pretty Russian chicks.
She's not. I think you're thinking about Kornikova. She's not Kornikova.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, Anna Kornikova. That's right. Right.
Yeah. But one thing is funny is, but she's still not as good as the Williams sisters, and she's making an order of magnitude more money.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing, you talk about PR advice. How do you like in her at her press conference when she said, you know, and I never thought, you know, is this the end and all this kind of? She's like, you know, I would hope that the end of my career wouldn't be announced in a hotel with a rug like this. Like, she made some crappy comment about...
Oh, shit. You know what we call that? Call that shit hamartia. You're going to crack on the hotel carpet? The hotel carpet's going to say, fuck you. You're going to be making movies on me in 6 months, baby. So says the
I
hotel
love that. I
carpet.
love it. It's like, you're going out. It's like, I'm going. Take that.
Yeah, right. Do not fuck with hotel room carpets. It will come back and bite your ass. It's like that cop. You remember that cop who I think they're making a movie about him. It was like the ultimate bad lieutenant, and the guy was like, they said, hey, we're getting reports that people are coming to your business and they're disappearing. You mind if we, look around? And he's like, sure. And he was right on the cusp of it, I guess, where they start using, in a serious way, luminol. So he was pretty bold because he's thinking like, fuck this, man. I wiped the prints down. There are no fucking prints here. And they spray luminol in the place, and it made it look like a fucking paint tank at a body shop. There was blood all over the place. And the guy came back with the greatest PR defense ever. I was framed.
Well,
framed? What about those bodies in the barrels in the park with your fingerprints on them? I don't know how they got there. Famous San Francisco story. A buddy of mine, his girlfriend was one of the last people in the barrel. Jonathan Christ from Code of Honor. So she had gone to the guy's place to buy a little Coke.
Ouch. Sad way to end. But you led us into a cul-de-sac, Eugene. That was.
But
it was sudden. It was like jujitsu, man. Next thing you know, armbarred by depression.
But there was also, though, a sliver of a lead-in to the next story for Eugene. Because when he talked about paint and color, it brings us to your Zoe Saldana, Eugene. Numbers of African Americans are at arms over you, a light-skinned Jersey actress of Puerto Rican and Dominican descent, donning blackface and wearing a prosthetic nose in the role of Nina Simone in the upcoming biopic. How do you, Zoe, handle the bad PR from failing...
Biopic. That's it, man. I'm trumping you all over this show.
What?
Making fun of your pronunciation. Biopic.
There are regional differences that you must respect. How do you handle the bad PR from failing this 21st century brown bag test?
You know what? This is what I'm always surprised about, are that people are surprised. If she didn't know, they just came out with a documentary, whatever happened to Miss Simone or Nina Simone. So the images of her are rife in our heads. You got to understand that there's this weird civil war inside the black community. You mentioned the brown bag test. People who don't know, and my mother went to Howard University back in the 50s, and she said you'd show up at a party at an all-black, historical black university, and they would hold up a paper bag. And if you were darker than the paper bag, you were not allowed to get into the party. So there's sensitivities that are right. Don Cheadle plays fucking Miles Davis. Yeah, people are upset that they had to create a fictional white friend for him to get the movie signed off on, but it's still Don Cheadle, a dark cat, playing a dark cat. Saldana had to see this coming. She said, well, maybe it'll be like the kerfuffle over Daniel Craig playing the blonde guy playing James Bond when we had never had a blonde James Bond, and it'll just blow over. This shit's not going to blow over. I mean, people are feeling guilty right now for attacking an actress who just took a job. But, part of taking a job is getting the next job. And part of getting the next job is being somebody that people want to see. I think she also had something to do with the production of the movie. So, it's tempting. It's tempting. You don't want to pull a Dick Cheney. Who's the best actress for this role? Me. I would say off the top of my head, without thinking about it very much, Alfred Woodward would be a better pick. Is she too old? Who gives a fuck? I mean, but Hollywood now is going to say, you see, we can't help you people. We're trying to give you movies. What do you want? Next time we'll just do what we want to do, which is to have her played by fucking Meryl Streep. Nina Simone, Nicole Kidman as
They might as well.
Nina
We're gonna get shit on anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and not even in blackface because Nicole Kidman has such range. Surely she could do as good of a job with Nina Simone as Joseph Fiennes is going to do with Michael Jackson.
Right.
Why
I was
not?
about to bring that up.
Why not? And of course, there's the movie that I'm pushing toward production, Where My Bitch Is At, where Tom Cruise plays Tupac Shakur. It's a no-lose situation.
What do you think, Nate? What would you do? What would you do, Zoe?
That's a movie you want to see.
Yeah, this one's, man, there's a no blackface rule in show business. It bit Grace Slick. It bit Ted Danson. Now it bit Zoe Saldana. Don't do it. Like, if they're saying, we'll just darken you up in makeup, don't. Just say no. Say no. No prosthetic nose. No dark face. No blackface. I'm not Al Jolson. Al Jolson is dead. Like, that's how my career is going to be if I do this. This is a serious screw-up, especially like Eugene brought up, the Netflix documentary, Who's Miss Simone, is a really good documentary, and it really brings home how central racial issues were to Nina Simone's whole story. Like, there's a story about when she was a little girl playing the piano, and her parents are on the front row, and a white family is like, excuse me, Negroes, could you move aside so I can see the little Negress play? And Nina Simone, like, takes her hands off the keys, like, no, you know, I'm not playing until these crackers get out of my parents' chair.
Old phase,
yes. And so, like,
you have to be historically accurate in your...
Exactly. Right from the I got to keep my story straight. Right from the beginning, she set herself a pattern of being a bold, outspoken, racially conscious individual, and to do this in a movie about her. I mean, it's one thing to have a white guy playing Michael Jackson who was notorious for trying to turn himself white for his whole career. I mean, what black guy could you get to? You'd have to do whiteface as a black guy to play Michael Jackson towards the end of his life. So the Ralph Fiennes thing, I mean, that's so ludicrous and over the top.
You get Rob Lowe. I'd go for Rob Lowe.
Yeah, and C. Thomas Howell. I'm a C. Thomas Howell man.
No. Actually, because a friend of mine, who my medical consultant for this show, he was friends with Michael Jackson's plastic surgeon. And when Michael Jackson came in with this scrawled image, he goes, "Well, I can make that look more realistic." And Jackson goes, "No, I want this." It was based on Rob Lowe. Look at Rob Lowe's face.
Wow, I could see that.
Wow, that's.
Yeah, for Miss Saldana, at this point, the movie's shot.
Yep.
She's wearing the blackface. She's in the nose. You're going to have to ride it out, sister, and ooh.
You know, the weird thing about this whole dynamic is problematic. I mean, if you take a step back, there's a fantastic movie, I don't know if you guys saw it, called Seduced and Abandoned. And what happens is it's James Toback, I believe, who did the Tyson movie. And Alec Baldwin, and they're revealing, for those who don't know, how hard it is to get financing for a Hollywood film. So what they do is they have this project called Last Tango in Tikrit, which is based on Last Tango in Paris, that's supposed to star Alec Baldwin and Selma Blair. And so they have footage of them going to, this is a documentary, it's like, you know, it's not manufactured people. They have footage with these billionaires that finance films on their yachts. And they're showing you the sales pitch that has to be made to these people. And what's amazing about it, it reminded me of why I stopped writing screenplays and went into writing books instead.
Yep.
Because the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, it's like, look, they're like, okay, who's going to star in this film? It's like, well, Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin's a television actor. And how much money do you want for me to give you for a television actor in a feature-length film? Alec Baldwin's like right there, like he's a television actor. So who's going to be the girl in the movie? Selma Blair. She was a television actor too. Look, I'll tell you what. With those two, I'll probably give you $5 million. You want $50 million? Give me Jessica Chastain. Give me Ryan Gosling. Give me people who bring in box office, and I will write a check for you. So what happens is, with regard to this whole Nina Simone thing, is, you know, because the production company was Robert Johnson's, you know, formerly BET's company, right?
Yep.
You have different things going on. One is, it's very difficult to get financing, and when you have roles that are supposed to be played by ethnic actors and actresses, being able to say, like, hey, look, well, where's their box office? Can they guarantee, like Julia Roberts used to be able to guarantee $50 million for every film. She would guarantee that's how much money it's going to make. It's a little more problematic. That's number one. Number two, I bet you what happened was, when they're trying to pitch this movie, like, okay, we have this Nina Simone film. Who are we going to get? Like, let's get Viola Davis. Viola Davis? Like, what movies has she opened on her own? Well, what about Zoe Saldana? Well, Avatar. Oh, that's right. She played a blue-skinned alien in Avatar, one of the biggest movies of all time. What else did she do? Guardians of the Galaxy. She was a green-skinned alien with prosthetics, and it made a lot of money. Hey, I'll tell you what. Zoe Saldana with paint on her face and prosthetics means money. So I bet you. So if we get her, right?
And this is where fucking integrating Hollywood works, because if there had been one Negro anywhere near that place, they'd have gone, hey, guys, wait a minute. Wait.
Right.
You know, I mean,
They
this
would have
is
said,
not,
look, if you want to take her, you have to do what they did with Sidney Poitier and Thurgood Marshall, right? Sidney Poitier looked nothing like Thurgood Marshall. You know, it's acting to a certain degree, right? You're going to have Chadwick Boseman, who's going to be playing a young Thurgood Marshall in the film. Looks nothing like the guy, but at the end of the day, there's a whole point of blackface versus makeup versus the power of your acting ability enabling an individual to suspend their disbelief.
well, and also, you know, they'll run you out there, man. You meet with these guys, and you'll have a Civil War movie, and next thing you know, you got midgets in tuxedos. You know, I was like, how do the midgets in tuxedos? Man, they trend really well nowadays. So you got to have them in the Civil War. Were there many midgets in the Civil War? I don't know. That's not the point. I went through. It's my woman loves to ridicule me. She wasn't around then, but my Hollywood meetings to discuss the film rights for A Long Slow Screw, where I functioned like that guy, and they said, we want your main character Jake Paternostre to be starred. We're thinking about George Clooney, and I went, Clooney? What do you mean, that guy from that TV show, The Hospital? What the fuck did they? Okay, well, look, and we're thinking about having Soderbergh direct it. Sex Lies of Videotape? How long ago was that?
All right.
That's the point at which they just closed the books and said, you know what? We'll get back to you on all this.
Well, that's why in terms of raising funds for films, one of my favorite professors used to say, look, if you're looking to raise funds for film and you can't do it the old-fashioned way, which is daddy write me a check.
Yep.
You have to find somebody to finance you. What'd you say?
Fellatio.
Oh, geez. Well, one thing he said, go to dentists and individuals that have access to money but non-glamorous professions.
Yeah.
And what happens is you sell them, because this is exactly what Toback did years later. In the movie, he's saying, like, think about your legacy, think about having your name here. So you have to sell them on this fiction of Hollywood, and they have to make enough money so that it's like, okay, you know what? I lost a couple $1 million. Well, I lose that much money every night at Vegas on my coke binges. So it has to be like extreme amounts of disposable income.
That's how Legendary Pictures got started, if I'm remembering. The guy is like not a movie guy and just said, fuck this. I can do this. Why not?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So speaking about doing this,
Luke Thomas, baby, curveball.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
All right. This is sent in by a commenter. He says, there's serious juice behind this, and what he wants to know. You are Eugene S. Robinson. People are making allegations that you, in actual fact, are really Luke Thomas because you two never appear in the same place at the same time. See, this is the liquor store next door. This is what I got to deal with. This will go on for about 60 seconds.
Well, maybe that's the sound cue for the curveball.
That's the sound here. So, how do you, Eugene, get people to believe the totally true but now seemingly insane contention that you are not Luke Thomas?
Wow, Luke Thomas, man, and this goes back to Zoe Saldana perfectly, right? The whole prosthetics and Luke. I think even found out.
You got me. You got me. I'd like to cash my big giant check from ESPN. Man, I'd love to be Luke Thomas, man. That guy's rolling hard. I need to hang out with him instead of hanging out with this Sorrel.
And the only way he can prove that the rumor is not true is by appearing with you in the most public forum possible.
Yeah, we could do it like the opening to the Mary Tyler Moore show. Dance around a fountain and throw our hats in the air. That'd be pretty good, man. I'd pay to see that. I really like. I like. You know what? You know why I like Luke? Because it's like, I tell you, I played a show in Hamburg once, and we opened for this guy named Hugo Race, Race. And Hugo Race was just fresh off of being in Nick Cave's and the birthday party, the backing band. He was like, he comes in, he's like this regal kind of like rock and roll authority, straight with the Nick Cave thing. And I'm like, oh shit, there's Hugo Race. He's like, oh yes. I go, oh man, I fucking love you. And I'm like slapping him on the back real hard. And but we had 3 shows together, so he couldn't get away with me. And in the 3rd day, I could see his resolve just crumble away in the face of my crass and continued entreaties to just treat him like a normal guy, And then Luke, I feel he's like dad, Luke, he's got the beard and he's got the cash, and man, I love that guy. hey man, we gotta double team some chicks together, man. You and me, let's turn it up. And I can just see him going,
turn up.
yeah, and I can see him like, man, he's whispering to Nate, don't let that guy anywhere near me. Get him out of here. Get him out of here.
Hey, we need you to fill in for Eugene. I can do that. Oh, Eugene's actually available. You can no.
No. Right, exactly. I built too much in this fucking career to have it go down.
He was very relieved when he got promoted to purple belt, Eugene. I'm not saying he didn't want to grapple with you. I'm just saying he was very happy for you when he got promoted to purple belt. And he said,
what? He's a purple belt, I thought, right?
No, I think he's a blue belt, dude. I don't think he's a purple belt.
Right.
So,
coming to get you.
Sorrell tried to give me a second stripe on the purple belt. You know what I told him? Shove it up your ass. I'm not 12 years old. That's a direct quote.
Wow.
This place is like a pirate ship, man. It's getting worse.
You're never getting a brown belt, Eugene.
Fuck that. You can't deny me. 6 years from now, I'll have it.
All right.
Speaking of never say never, Nate, your BMW.
Oh.
You use your 100-year celebration as a platform to apologize for supplying Nazis during World War II with vehicles created by over 50,000 slaves. Is sabotaging your celebration enough, or is there more you need to do to make amends?
That's the kind of thing, you could never make amends for that. There's not enough amends in the world. Like, what are you going to do, dig Anne Frank up and give her some money? Like, that's not happening. There's no thing they can do to make that right. So their choice to do the 100-year anniversary thing, I guess, is noble. I mean, they owned up to it. They're trying to clear the air. It's better than, say, I haven't heard Mitsubishi coming out and apologizing for making the Zero recently. So my hat's off to BMW. Like, what else are they going to do? These executives, they weren't even born yet when World War II happened.
The guys at Hugo Boss are sitting around going, what? What the fuck? The guys at Bayer Aspen are like, I'm idiots. I'm not apologizing. I'm not.
Mercedes-Benz had a good laugh about it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's the guys at IBM are like, I'm gonna fucking fuck that shit. Nothing. Man, nothing, baby. That was ages ago.
Yeah. Ancient history. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not like BMW made it right by doing this, and I don't think they got themselves anything.
Well, I think they're thinking chess. I think they're like, we got to get ahead of this. But it's like, we got it, man. You're German. We got it. I used to conclude some of my when I was doing a lot of business in Germany. I used to sometimes, if the occasion struck me, I would conclude my conversations with Heil Hitler, because nobody. They're like, what? And you go, nothing. And then you get off the phone, I mean, they got it. We love to rib them. They got it. So.
Yeah.
And plus, I mean, also, now, look, make no mistake, they got this 94-year-old guy on trial, and people are trying, and, I mean, the Germans not even saying, well, he's kind of old, because they know the world's response is going to be, what the fuck he is, we don't care.
Right.
No, and these guys largely themselves are like, fine, I'm 94, you got me, I'll spend my waning days in jail, I fucked up, it was a bad thing. You had to be there, I guess you weren't, I got it, I'm 94, see you later.
Oh, speaking about having to be there, Nate, this is our teachable moment. You're every MSM pundit out there. After assuring your audience that Hillary Clinton had trounced Bernie Sanders in Saturday's debate by characterizing his vote against bailing out the banksters as a vote against the auto industry, Bernie made up a 20-point deficit in the polls to beat Clinton by 5 in Michigan. How do you regain your credibility?
You double down, man. You just keep going. You ignore Bernie. You keep talking Hillary. You keep talking Trump. You don't admit. You don't blink. It's just like all the people that advocated invading Iraq. At some point, the crowd turns, and the conventional wisdom is, "Oh, that was a terrible idea," and you don't mention that. Yeah, and I was all for it. Or maybe you say, "That was a terrible idea, and we apologize for our endorsement of it," but quietly, and then you go back into, and that's why the Bush administration was such a failure, because they did these terrible things. Like, you just blame Clinton. Last week you were saying, oh, she was so smart to target these local issues in the debate, and what a genius strategy, and she really flipped things on Bernie with his talk about trade by pointing out he was voting against the bailout for the auto companies. You just flip it. You're just like, and she really stepped in it when she did that, and we we didn't point it out. You don't even mention that you don't point it out at the time. You just go forward. You keep talking. Being a pundit on the weekly talk shows, if you're invited back, keep doing the same shit you're doing. That's what you do. Somebody like Matthew Dowd, my old colleague back in the day, a key architect of the Bush anti-gay marriage strategy to get him reelected in 2004. He's since had a qualm and conscience about it. Now he goes around, I'm a nonpartisan do-gooder, and he's talking on ABC about the campaigns. Just do that. Just be shameless. Move on. Keep talking.
Yeah, because nobody gives a fuck about these guys. These guys are just, it's like Lou Reed when he was on Terry Gross, and Terry tried to get tricky with him on some answer, maybe talking about him abusing women or some shit like that. And Lou Reed was like, hey, you know what? I'm just trying to make the rent. I'm not going to do any talk show back and forth with it. I'm just a guy here trying to sell some records. I'm not going back to work and do Frosty Freeze, so fuck it. Here I am.
So should Zoe Saldana, going back to that, do you think, but no one was going to buy that because of the whole racially tinged history of color
was she going to unmake the movie? Generally, good PR advice is look to tomorrow, you know. And these guys, these commenters who are lambasting us for being Hillary apologists, they need to know. they need to know that we are commentators in sports and out, man. Kid Nate might have I am glad to admit and own up to the fact that, unlike the rest of America who hates winners, I like winners, and I want to bet on a winner. And you see that movie Mephisto, you know where my sympathies lay. You tell me Bernie's a front runner, I'm a Bernie guy. You tell me Hillary's a front runner, I'm a Hillary guy. It's like the Marx Brothers. You pay me a little bit, I'm a little bit tough. You pay me a lot, I'm a lot tough. I'll pay you plenty. Well, I'm plenty tough. I'm going where the wind blows on this. I don't give a fuck.
And I'm giving you an invitation to Donna Shalala yourself because I think it's a perfect time for it. Can you also drop us your famous inspirational Tom Joad quote/moment in terms of
yeah, I'm glad you remember that. Wherever there's a little guy being pushed around by a big guy, I'll be there pushing around the little guy for the big guy. Wherever there's a boot on a face, I'll be that boot on the face. Somebody said, you're a fucking cynical opportunist. I go, goddamn right. That's what we call surviving. Surviving. It's like the old man in Catch-22 who outraged Clevenger so much. He's like, the Germans came, I was out there Sig Heiling. The Americans come, I'm there saluting. Mussolini leaves, I'm and he goes, and the guy goes, how could you be that way? He goes, America's a very young society. Italians, we've been here for fucking thousands of years, man. We trust us. This is the way to go. Hillary, I was saying that I enjoy her misery. I hope it goes this way to the end. I'm going to vote for her because I think that the machinery is in, but I'm not going to stand in front of the machinery. Well, if you vote for Bernie, he'll win. You know what? I got two words for that. John Anderson. I voted for John Anderson in 1980. That was it. My flirtation began and ended with, but outside that, will I vote for Trump because Trump is going to win? No, because I don't think Trump is going to be good for my wallet. But I have friends, Israeli friends, who are like, never vote for Hillary. I go, why not? The Oslo peace accords were terrible. You give $80 million to Hamas. You think they're going to use that shit to build schools? No, they're not. So, and she's too smart to not have known what they were going to do with it. She's not a friend of Israel's. I could not vote for her. God, a lot of mitigating factors, but Bernie Sanders is not going to win a single fucking primary in the southern state.
And that's a good point. That's the point that people, again, I don't know why people aren't mentioning this. They're mentioning so many atrocities and so many things in terms of voting patterns, but you do not see this. And when you see the results last night, it's predictable. You see dynamics and this weekend where, there is anti-Semitism to have to be dealt with. What?
Michigan was not predictable, though. Bernie swept the most Muslim community in the U.S., which nobody saw coming. Like, if anybody's going to be anti-Semitic, you would think that would be the town.
Yeah, but my assumption, I'm thinking about that, even though one could argue that, you talk about old school and old line, you're talking about thousands of years of issues and beef, but in terms of individuals in this country, and look, there's a reason why I thought it was really sad. I thought it was great that Bloomberg decided not to run because he realized what he would be doing. But hidden within that was a line where someone who did the research for him. Millions of they filmed the commercials already. They filmed the commercials. They did everything. They put everything in place to move, and it was acknowledged that he only had a chance in diverse communities. What does that mean? What does it mean that he only has a chance in diverse communities, and there are enough diverse communities that would vote for him? I mean, come on.
Well, we
want
to talk about anti-Semitism like
anti-Semitism, but that's what it is.
We want to talk about anti-Semitism like it's a thing of the past in order to try to make it a thing of the past. But not from my point of view. In other words, I know people who openly admit to me to being anti-fucking Semites. You know, and you know, I mean, these people are not going to openly admit to me to being racist, but the shit about racism to me is anecdotal, and it's usually part of a power arrangement. Like, I got hassled by the cops. You know, I mean, yeah.
But you also have a dynamic in place, too, where people will throw it to kind of like buddy up with you, assuming you're not one of them, because that's one thing. Another group, I mean, another thing that's not mentioned is the fact that with this whole election cycle is I haven't heard so much anti-Cuban sentiment on the low. I can't recall the last time, you know.
And out in the open.
And like people are like, oh, you know how those Cubans are, and you know my middle name is Cuban, right? So I flash that to them, and they freak out, and you know I'm not Cuban. My middle name is Cuban, but it's just funny like how, but you still see that shock. Oh, but it's funny because people straight up like, oh, you know how those Cubans are. Oh, he's not a real someone. So like he's gonna get the Latino vote, voting for a Cuban and Argentinians. Oh, don't get me started. So you know it's just really interesting to see how these things like play out on a micro level, and what stories are not might be hinted at. So Washington Post did something like, oh, well, people vote for a Cuban, but they didn't really do that
a gay Cuban
racist dive. What?
A gay Cuban.
Gay Cuban.
He was only gay for pay, Eugene. What?
Yeah,
there's nothing more.
It's like that guy the Republican guy they got. They said, you are a male prostitute. He goes, yeah, and he's like, well, don't you think you're coming down on these anti-gay issues? This doesn't mean I'm gay.
Just gay for pay. There's nothing more all-American than that. That's
plenty of women. Plenty of porn stars.
No, go ahead. You can finish.
No, plenty of porn stars who have women or they don't like men, but they have sex with men. You got it. I got it. Okay, buddy. His career ended pretty soon after that, Mr. Escort.
Oh, well.
See, like Connie, I'm gonna let you finish. Yeah. So here's the thing, Eugene. It's time for your Lost Battalion / Phantom Toll Booth in terms of
/ Major Tom.
/ Major Tom. That's right. Oh, it keeps ever expanding. So, in wake of this weekend, where do the chips fall?
Well, I pegged him last week, and I'm even with Connor's loss. I'm still seeing him floating out there, ground control, trying to establish some sort of contact with RDA and the foot thing,
Rafael dos Anjos.
Yeah, I mean, if you see him making any major moves in 2016, I'd be very surprised.
Ooh, RDA?
Yeah.
Well, he's trying to angle for the Robbie Lawler fight. He's like, I'll fight Robbie Lawler at 200. Belt versus belt.
Yeah. If I'm the bald one, I say, because what people forget, what we forget from our side is there's a price tag attached to all these guys. Am I going to bring this guy in from outer space to pay him $350,000? If I'm the bald one at that point, I go, you want to fight Lawler, huh? Hey, how's that foot? How's that fucking foot? Because it's like, man, I can't run a business this way. I don't know what you got. Yeah, he got in your head. You trained extra hard. You hurt your fucking foot. It could happen to anybody. Why is it always happening to you guys? That's what I want to know, So, but then also, once again, I was pleasantly reminded when fucking John Vallante. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I forgot to exult in my successful and unusually high pick rate versus Kid Nate's execrable pick rate. In any case, this gave me the opportunity to see on display fucking Chris Weidman in the cage with John Vallante. And I don't know if in the old punk rock days when a guy whose hair was slightly too long would try to get in the mosh pit and would sort of fuck up, somebody inevitably would kind of start to mosh near him and go like this, deep, 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 and peg him. He doesn't know it. So first thing, the guy bumps into him. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm having a great time. Somebody else bumps into him. Oh, yeah. And next thing, he's a fusillade of punches and kicks, and he's escorted out, right? It was the exact opposite. Like, nobody was even standing next to Chris. You know, the guys in this team, they're like, Chris is just, like, out there, man. Just out there. Him in the woodpile. And I like it. They've got this now set up where they do these kind of press conferences, and he's saying, AKA is done, Luke is done, Luke is a bum, I'm going to take his belt like they're losing all their belts, like DC is going to lose his belt, and everybody's just quiet. You know, just like when that guy comes into the McDonald's and he's like, I masturbated John F. Kennedy, and people are just quiet. You know, you're saying crazy shit, okay. I mean, that woodpile gets bigger and bigger, man. It was eerie and hurtful to watch.
How can you not mention Marco Rubio this week?
Because I'm enjoying too much his little feet twisting in the wind.
Little Marco.
The pain,
you know what I love about that? You know what I love about the little Marco is it was such a signal. We talked about Donald Trump like last week, right? In terms of like you don't disavow the KKK thing immediately, right? But when you do, it's like everyone says, oh, I know. That whole little Marco thing totally is like, I'm going to remind you about where you belong and what your place is, little Marco. And the mistake Marco made too, which I think is funny, is when you're trying to appeal to a racist base, like making like insults about dick size and all this kind of stuff and resuscitating the whole Latin lover thing and like, you know what I mean? The whole like, wait a second, you're not one of us.
Yeah, you're right. If I were Trump, I would have gone a little bit further on that, and I would have called him Marquito.
That's too late for Trump.
Yeah, I'm going 2 for 1, man. I'm going to get in the specter of the possible gay allegations. I'm going to remind people that he speaks Spanish and he is not one of us, and I'm going to get him with a little blast, So Marquito is I would show that I'm speaking to the Latins. The Latins, they love me. Everybody, they do. They love me.
See, I try. It's almost like the whole movie with Nina Simone. Like, I'm trying to relate to a population by speaking their language, and this is what I get.
Yeah, right.
I'm trying to address them with love, care, and brotherhood.
Yeah, no.
And
So
this
I'm
is
sorry.
the kind of response I get.
Yeah, I get caught up in the MMA world, but yeah, Rubio is fucking lost battalion all the way. But the pained expression on his face seems to indicate to me that he is more aware than generally entrance into the Lost Battalion.
Much more self-aware than Jeb was at this point.
Yes, yeah. Jeb was straight up fucking leading the charge on Pork Chop Hill in the mist with nothing but his dick in his hand. That's Rubio, based on his face, is like, man, God damn. Hey, do I have to give this money back? I got this credit card fucking bills, man. It would really help if I could keep some of it.
Yeah.
Do you think he should drop out before Florida?
Fuck yes, he should.
No, he's got to hang on for the full humiliation, man.
I want him to hang on because I enjoy his discomfort.
People might even try to push him to go all the way to the convention and take what little delegates he has and try to force a broker convention, but I don't think he consistently doesn't win any delegates. Like last night, blanked again.
You know what somebody said here to me? Lifelong Republican. 2 lifelong Republicans. They said if they try to do any kind of brokered convention, hey, get off the mat with shoes. If they try to do any kind of brokered convention bullshit, they will never, ever vote Republican again. Ever. If they try to get slick, subvert the will of the people is the phrase they used. They will never. They will vote for any third party. They will never ever do this again.
Well, that Mitt thing totally backfired on them too. I mean, and I don't see how they didn't see that coming.
Mitt. Come on. What you just say, Mitt? If you would say, "Hey man, we're having a dinner party," I'm not going.
Yeah.
Hey man, we're gonna have Mitt's cooking. I'm not eating. Well,
one time in December 1988, I'm sitting there at a bar in Austin, Texas, with Mark McKinnon and a bunch of political hacks, and Gary Morrow walks in, who had just lost to George W. Bush in the gubernatorial election. Like, I don't even think his wife voted for him. Like, George W. Bush was so popular in Texas at that point. Literally, Morrow walks in. He'd hung out with us many a time. Walks out. Every single person at the table got up and walked away. That's how politics treats losers.
Hey,
and Mitt
man,
Romney coming out.
That's the fucking chimp chill out, baby. How do you like that?
It was so at the time I was loving it because I'm an asshole. But
hey, where are you guys going? Hey, well, it reminds me of that.
Is there something I'm missing?
Yes, the Aerosmith story. Some guy was a roadie for Aerosmith, and he was telling me, he's like, hey, man, when Tyler got cleaned up, post-show, he didn't know what the fuck to do with himself. He was still amped from the show, and, you know, we're going to bed 2 hours later because we got to break down everything, and he's like, just hanging around. He's like, what are you guys doing now? You gonna go? Wait, can I hang? And they're like, no, man, Steve, we got to break down the set and stuff. Yeah, but after, it's like, man, go back to the fucking hotel. Go to sleep. I mean, have some fucking respect for yourself, you know? Hanging around the crew, trying to get a party with the crew guys, you know? I mean, that's the thing. People don't realize if you're drinking and drugging, that, you know, part of that is that it's the ritual aspect of it. It takes up a lot of time. You got to get the drugs. You got to find the drugs. You got to make sure the drugs are good. You got to find other people to do the drugs with, and then you deal with the after effects of the drugs, and then the cycle. But if you cut that shit out, man, it's just you in a hotel room in Michigan.
Man, the selfless research that you had to engage in to understand that process, I can only imagine the undercover work that you had to do.
I guess you've never seen an Oxbow show. You try to do that show high, you don't get beyond one song, baby. Believe me, I've tried.
Oh.
If Eugene were to wet his pants Aussie style, it would be obvious. It would be obvious. You couldn't pour a bucket of water over yourself.
Speaking of psychoactive drugs, somebody might have given me mushrooms before a show one time in Paris.
I see.
And that was a very difficult show to do. I'm assuming there was mushrooms. I don't know what it was, but
The mushroom defense. There we go. Parting PR.
Well, no, because you're standing out there, and then suddenly you start to have these really super self-reflective thoughts like, why am I here? What does this microphone mean? What does it mean as a microphone? Am I sending messages to the world or the 200 people here? And these 200 people, will they go out, you know, and next thing you know, your band is looking at you like, you know, the song you were supposed to sing was, it started. Oh, hold on. Right before we leave, we got to text the guy, the guy with the Italian thing. He goes, no issues with Italians. He goes, but McGregor's got to get his heat back. Say the most outrageous shit you can imagine and see what sticks. If you can get Frankie Edgar to do something interesting or get in his head, do that. If not, go back to Aldo. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to go with Aldo straight up on this
Aldo
one.
all the way.
Yeah, because if you invest time and effort and energy into developing something, then you can't be surprised if for some strange, weird reason you get what you ask for.
Also, if he loses to fucking Edgar, that Aldo fight is fucking smoke.
Exactly.
Yep.
And you realistically,
Aldo gets a rematch with Aldo.
Exactly. The trilogy. The trilogy.
And you got to give Aldo. It's like a poker table. Yeah, you're not going to take that money and walk away. You got to give me a chance to make it back.
Yep.
But we're going to walk away. Thank you for joining us. Follow us on Twitter at Eugene S. Robinson, at KidNate, at Alexi Old. Please give us a thumbs up, Eugene.
There you go. I salute you.
And leave comments on YouTube. Subscribe to MMANation.com on YouTube and MMA Nation on iTunes. Visit Bloody Elbow.
And all you fuckers, you got me this time, but I will no more be engaging in any Middle Eastern chatter like George H.W. Bush said. I'm not going to deal with that.
Wow. So if you had some chatter in the past with Eugene on it, make sure you frame it because it's never happening again.
Never happening
That's
again.
right. That's right. You'll have to cut and paste your own Likud press releases.
No, that wasn't a cut and paste job. That was a friend of mine in Tel Aviv, and I said, hey, look, this is what this guy said. You got a response? And that was her response. That came in about 20 minutes. She may have cut and pasted from somewhere else, but given the number of typos, I think it was probably her.
And you will not see typos on Eugene's work at Ozzy.com.
Correct.
But be sure to check us.
I got a piece up today about chic.
Oh,
All
oh,
right.
I saw that was good. That was a really
Yeah,
good
yeah.
piece. Really good piece, man.
Thank you, sir.
Makes you wonder, like, would you have been let in to? Anyway,
Yes, I
check
was.
us.
I was.
He was
let,
there.
I
He
was
was
letting the
there.
Studio 54 a couple of times, and I thought it was because I was so fucking cool. And then somebody just looked at me like, "You idiot." They let you in because they thought you were a drug dealer.
Man, hey, man, they just hating.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Fucking bitches.
Get in or die trying. Check us out, all three of us, on Amazon.com, and we'll be back next week with another edition of If I Did It. And we don't know what we're talking about because the PR mistakes have yet to be made.
The best part will be when we fuck up, and then so we do a meta thing. Come on, If I Did It, to talk about the PR mistakes that we made. You know,
That will be the curveball to end all curveball.
Jesus Christ, that'll
If
be
you're
great.
trying to get me to talk about Vox.com's problems, that's not happening. All right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.